All right, let's dive into a question I bet a lot of you have thought about. We're talking about a fruit that's in almost everyone's kitchen, and we're going to use a simple, personal experiment to get some real answers about bananas and what they actually do to our blood sugar. So, here's the big question. Are bananas a blood sugar villain? You hear it all the time, right? They're super convenient, they're delicious, but are they secretly just a sugar bomb waiting to mess with our metabolism? It's time to find out. So to get to the bottom of this, we're not going to wade through some dense, complicated study. Nah, we're going to look at a really simple, real-world test. It's just one person, 2 bananas, and a continuous glucose monitor. And the results? Well, they were pretty surprising. Okay, so here's the setup, super straightforward. The subject just ate 2 regular bananas. We're talking about 250 grams, which is around 225 calories. You know, a pretty standard snack for a lot of people. And the whole point was just to eat them and then watch what happened to the blood glucose levels, simple as that. All right, the stage is set. Now for the part we've all been waiting for, the results. What did the actual data say about what those 2 bananas did inside the body? This is it, the million-dollar question. Did those 2 bananas cause some kind of crazy, out-of-control blood sugar spike? Or was the reality a little more chill? Let's take a look at the number. And here we go. A 41 milligrams per deciliter increase. Now that number, 41, might not mean much on its own. It's just a measurement of sugar in the blood. But for a number to tell a story, you've got to have some context. So what does 41 times really mean? And this is where it gets fascinating. That 41-point spike from the bananas was almost identical to the 40-point spike from mangoes. Now think about that. Anyone who's ever been warned to stay away from super sweet mangoes, this kind of changes things, doesn't it? It shows us they're basically in the same ballpark. So this is where one simple experiment unlocks something way bigger. That single result wasn't just about bananas versus mangoes. It was part of a much larger pattern. And it led to this totally new and really useful framework for understanding how pretty much all fruits affect us. See, once this experiment was repeated with a bunch of different fruits, a really clear pattern started to emerge. And that means we can stop being confused about every single fruit out there and instead just use a simple system that sorts them into 3 easy-to-understand groups. Let's break this down. First, you've got the low spike camp. These are fruits that cause about a 30 milligram per deciliter rise. We're talking things like muskmelon and plums. The game plan here? Simple. Enjoy them whenever you want. Then there's the mid-spike camp, which is right around that 40 milligram per deciliter mark. This is where our banana lives, along with mango and pineapple. For these, the strategy is to just be a little more mindful, watch your portion size, or maybe pair them with some protein or healthy fat. And finally, the high spike camp, anything 50 or over. Think lychees, think cherries. Here, you want to be strategic. Pair them with other foods, or maybe have them after a full meal to help manage that bigger response. And this quote from the experimenter just says it all, doesn't it? It captures that total shift in thinking. It wasn't about one fruit being good and another being bad. It was realizing that, hey, a whole bunch of these fruits behave in a very similar way, and sometimes the biggest thing we can control is just how much of it we eat. So a framework is great, but knowledge is only powerful if you can actually use it, right? So how do we take this idea of 3 fruit camps and turn it into something we can do every day? Let's get into the action plan. It really just boils down to this super simple guide. Low spike fruits? Go for it. Enjoy them. Mid-spike fruits, like our friend the banana, just be mindful. Think about how much you're eating or what you're eating it with. And for those high spike fruits, just be strategic. Have them after a big salad or a meal with protein to kind of soften the landing. And this right here is the whole point. This is not about making a list of fruits you can never eat again. It's about getting rid of fear and confusion and replacing it with knowledge. When you understand how your body might react, you're in the driver's seat. You can make smart, strategic choices. Now, of course, we have to remember, everybody and everybody is different. This whole framework came from one person's data. It's an incredible starting point for thinking about fruit. But at the end of the day, it leads to the most important question of all. What would your results be?